Hello. Welcome to TrueHoop with me, Jarod Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
I'm well, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. We had two game ones of the conference finals already happen, so lots of basketball to discuss. We'll start with the most recent game first, of course, that being last night, Eastern Conference Finals, game one. Miami Heat win 123 to 116. Jimmy Butler was incredible, 35, 7, and 6, 6 being steals. Jason Tatum had 30 points and 7 rebounds for the Boston Celtics. David, when I watched that game, so the Celtics were up 9 at the half. And when I watch basketball, the David Thorpe Angel is always on my shoulder telling me what's going on. And David's rule is like 1,000,000-0, which is outscore the other team by 10 or more in a quarter. Don't get outscored by 10 or more in a quarter. You're probably going to win that game. Well, I felt like in the first half, Boston kept having that chance to get that 10-plus first quarter, and the Heat just wouldn't let them. Like, nope, you're not going to beat us by 10-plus in this quarter. All right, so we're only up 9 at the half, and in the third quarter, holy shit. The Heat scored 45 points. That's it. That is your ball game. What did you see on the floor of that game yesterday?
Boston was up 71-59 in the third, and it looked like they had control. And I don't remember what happened, whether it's I got a phone call, which probably is the case, or whatever. It's 72-72. Like, wait. So I went back and watched it, and I took some notes. So 71-59, Boston's in the lead, comfortable, and they're doing well. The Heat are trying to turn them into drivers and mid-range jump shooters because Boston shoots so many threes. They're running them off the line. They're attaching themselves aggressively, and in a sense, almost giving up easier shots. Celtics set a record for most points for this season in the paint in the first half, not in the second half. So it's 71-59. Bam makes like a running hook. It's clearly bouncing out, bounces in. I'm like, ooh, that's a good 2 points I didn't expect to get. So now they're down 10. Jaylen Brown just fumbles a Smart. At this point, Smart was diamond.
Oh, yeah, he was really
so he was diamond everywhere. Not something you always see. He threw an underhand hard bullet pass to Jaylen Brown, who just dropped the ball. I thought my phone was off. So he just dropped the ball, and that was a bad turnover. And then Bam makes a free throw, 71-62. Smart, nice-looking three-point shot, in and out. All right. I call him Juicy Strus. Boom, a tough three. All right. 71-65. It was his first three of the night. And they're starting to reel him in a little bit. Boston seems fine.
Right.
And then Horford, early in the clock, took a three. Right when he took it, I thought, Jason Tatum has been on the court this entire time. All right, Horford, you're wide open. He misses. Kevin Love in transition, three, boom, 71-68. And things are getting tight, right? The crowd feels it. Smart makes only one free throw, 72-68. Gabe Vincent, a great drive. He's on the right wing. I'm seeing it right now in my head. Drives middle, has a little fake to get Smart either to jump or not jump, but also gives him balance. When you fake, it allows you to set yourself. I teach this all the time. You don't just fake because of the defense. You fake so you can gather yourself so you're balanced on your shot. You gather yourself in balance while you're faking, all right? Vincent hits that jumper, which, by the way, I looked it up. He shot 51%, more or less mid-range. This is probably a higher level than mid-range because it's right in the middle. 96 percentile on mid-range. So he's a good player and from that range.
Excellent player in that range.
Now it's 72-70. Marcus Smart misses a three. Again, you've not heard Jason Tatum's name mentioned one time.
Nope.
He missed the three. Kevin Love, this is the play where he got the rebound and then immediately fired it 94 feet to Strus. Juicy Strus missed the shot but tipped it in. The game's tied. Like, what the hell just happened? So, two things. One, Tatum, no touches. Two, no timeout from Mazzulla. Now, people are supporting him and attacking him.
Killing him today for timeout.
Right. I don't like attacking without purpose. So, all right, Coach Mazzulla, why would you have called timeout? What I was just describing there wasn't like they got easy shots, easy layups necessarily from Miami's point. You call timeout because your lead went from 12 to, let's say, it's 6 when it was 71-65 when Strus hit the tough three. All right, you got to have a sense here. Let's get Tatum the next 3 times down the court. Let's get him at least a touch. He was out of it. That's why you call timeout. And then from there, I mean, we said this on our show even. Game 1 was going to be the most vulnerable for Boston. They just got done a tough series. And most people think, Jarod, that coming out of that series, you're not going to be focused to start the very next series. Mm-hmm. That is not necessarily the case.
Right.
It's more of, do you have the will to keep fighting with urgency every possession? Mm-hmm. You've had no break.
Yep.
And so they started the game great.
Yep.
They just couldn't finish.
That's what I saw in that third quarter.
Yeah.
They just didn't. They weren't cutting as sharp. They weren't all the things they were doing to get that 9-point lead in the first half. They stopped doing it a lot in the third.
Well, right? Miami helped that, to be fair. Miami was really physical, as they tend to be. I thought they upped their intensity. They blocked cutters. They blocked screeners. So if I just wanted to go screen for Jason Tatum, they didn't even let me do it. They which is legal. Mm-hmm. There's an antidote to it. There's a counter to it. Go back door. Mm-hmm. Don't fight them. Go wherever they are. Go the opposite way. That's the teaching point. They just kind of mucked it up, mm-hmm. and I think Boston will be just fine in Game 2 mm-hmm. when they muck it up. They were not in Game 1.
Yeah,
and Miami just was rolling.
No, you are dead on, and of course we're gonna get to Jimmy Butler a little bit. I mean, he just had some incredible steals and was just flying all over.
6 steals, yeah.
6 steals. That was the 37 and 6.
I think they had 12 for the game.
This is what we expected from Miami, though, right? We said this is not going to be some cakewalk series you're going to win in. Yeah, you got more talent on paper. That doesn't matter. Like, they're going to fight hard for 48 minutes, which is what the Heat do. They had great contributions from Caleb Martin. So many, again, guys that, as Henry said, if you would ask teams, at the beginning of the season, hey, we'll give you a Caleb Martin. What do you think about that?
How about Kevin Love?
Kevin Love, right? I mean, yes, the corpse of Kevin Love. Most people are like, yeah, we don't want these people.
Hey, Jarod, have I ever told you the story that Coach Harvey Pennick told about the golfer and the swing? Mm-hmm. Have I told you this before? Can I tell it again?
Sure.
Because this is Miami Heat. So Coach Pennick died in the 90s, probably the best golf coach in American history. He told this great story in his first book. He wrote this great story in his first book, The Little Red Book, about working in a pro shop one day in Austin, Texas, like 1930s. One of his students comes in, all fired up. Hey, I just made to the finals of the I think it was like the Texas Open or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a big tournament though.
Yep.
And Harvey's like, great. Like, how's it looking for the finals? Like, oh, I'm going to kill him. He's got a bad grip and a bad swing. And Harvey Pennick, according to the story, wrote, all right, let me know tomorrow how it goes. Kid comes in the next day, dragging ass. How'd it go? I got crushed. And Harvey said, there's a lesson here. This is Texas. Look, all the good golfers live in Texas. It's a big tournament. This guy made the finals. If he's got a bad grip and a bad swing, he's learned how to score. That guy is to be admired and feared and respected. And that's exactly the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Much of these guys, not all, but much of them, including the head coach, they were just here a couple years ago in Orlando, right? Fair and square. They just knocked off the number 1 team in the league in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. They are and a tough-ass team in New York. Mm-hmm. They may not have a bunch of lottery picks. They're missing 2 lottery picks in Oladipo and, of course, Tyler Hero. Mm-hmm. But they're here without those guys. They are to be respected, admired, feared. Like, this is no fluke.
No.
This is who they are.
Not at all. And it was, we talk about, teams, and we have sample size of the regular season, right? And that tells us a story. That's 82 games, right? And playoffs are often small sample size. But as I've looked at data over the years of how players and teams perform in the postseason versus the regular season, 2 things become very clear. It's generally how you perform in the regular season generally is how you're going to perform in the postseason. Some people, some teams are about the same. Some are slightly worse. Some are slightly better. It's very rare that you have this like, oh my God, I was a 200 hitter in the regular season, and in the playoffs I hit 650. Like, that's probably not going to happen, right? But there is slight variation. What you're seeing with the Heat, David, is they were a bottom 4 3-point shooting team.
Yeah.
all season long, shooting 34% from 3. They're shooting 37% from 3 now. They were 115 points, I want to say, or 11 points, 111 in offensive rating. They're up to 114. So everything has just moved up a level or a level and a half. And when you're doing that and you got Spo, when you play hard, you do all the things, that little uptick makes all the difference. And he's really emblematic in Jimmy Butler, right? He's excellent in the regular season. I mean, he was top 5 in EPM. He was 3rd in EPM this year. But everything is just a touch better in the postseason, right? It's like, oh, he's scoring 2 or 3 more points a game on a little bit better efficiency, right? But those small margins, right? He isn't wildly better. It's just a little bit better. But in the postseason, when the margins are so thin, that is a huge difference. And the Heat are playing well. We said that if Boston will lose a game, it's going to be a game probably where Boston plays bad. So like they kind of, didn't play as hard in that third quarter, and Miami shoots the ball well. Well, Miami made almost half their threes, right? So, I mean, this is kind of how we see this going. But I just think this is going to be a super exciting series. And we said it's going to go along 6 or 7.
I didn't. I thought that Boston, I thought there was a better chance Boston wins in 4 or 5 than the Heat do in 7, let's say. I pretty much said that. I did a lot of pods. I didn't think it would be. I thought that they were most vulnerable in the first game. Although I do think sometimes you after a game 7, you win game 1, and then you just kind of relax and lose game 2. Mm-hmm. Miami's not going to be relaxed, so that's for sure. Boston is up against it a little bit now. They're comfortable. I mean, they've already had a closeout win on the road, mm-hmm. right, where they easily could have been closed out in Philly. Yep. And they're a very capable defensive team. I think Miami's got guys that defend the ball pretty hard. Yeah, there's a plan for what they do. They're trying to limit Boston's threes, and that seemed to make Boston in the second half more uncomfortable. I've not studied the tape to see. I'm sorry for this. The day's been kind of away from me. I wanted to watch. Why didn't Boston get more 2-point? I watched the whole second half today, but I wanted to watch it again and focus just on why didn't they get more paint touches. Smart went out for a while.
Yeah, he did. I thought I had the sound down, and I was like, "Wait, did he get kicked out of the game? What happened?"
Yeah, well, you were smart to have the sound down, but I was on the phone and didn't catch what happened either. He came back, obviously.
Yeah, he did.
He was great for a while. Miami's not going to play this way every game, I wouldn't think, but they've got some weapons. Bam is getting better. Mm-hmm. The Boston's got an embarrassment of riches.
They sure do.
Grant Williams doesn't play.
We're going to talk about him in a minute.
Peyton Pritchard came in. Maybe he won't come in next game. Robert Williams started. Maybe next game he won't start with Derek White, or maybe Grant Williams gets more playing time all of a sudden. He'd feel better about it. Managing egos is a part of this business. But the bottom line is they just kept throwing the ball to the bad guys. Yeah. Like you can't have 12 turnovers that are steals. Mm-hmm. That's the easy points for Miami, and you've got to make Miami score tough points against your defense. Yep. And then they could struggle.
Let's talk about Grant Williams. You mentioned him. This is someone who, in last year's postseason, proved that not only can he be a good spot-up three-point shooter, he's also a very good defender. He's built similar to PJ Tucker, like a fire hydrant. Like, you ain't moving, like, he is thick and strong. You ain't backing him down to the post, like, not happening. So I'm thinking, how Jimmy walks guys down into the post like that? I think Grant Williams might be able to help in this series. He's someone that Jimmy can't bully down to the block, and he's someone who will give you spacing, right? You have to honor him out the three-point line. So maybe this is a situation where he plays in this series, because since game 3 of the Sixers series, he kind of hasn't really been playing that much. 3 minutes here. I think his highest has been 12 minutes in the game since then. Is he in the doghouse? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I think it's more they just they don't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he is the doghouse, or he is a pain in the ass, from what I understand. Smart guy, but a pain in the ass. One of those guys that's too smart for his own good sometimes. Yeah. We all have friends like that are really bright, but pain in the ass. I mean, Coach Mazzulla's got to do some tweaking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got to get Jalen and Tatum scored 30, but he was bad late. He was tired, it looked like to me. Mm-hmm. They all were tired. Both teams were tired.
No doubt.
Yeah, they were definitely tired. It's funny. Derek White is such a great defensive player, But I was listening to some podcasters talk this morning. Nate Duncan talking about Brogdon on defense, just because he's stronger against Jimmy Butler. That'll be interesting to see. It's something you've talked about a few times, Jarod, on our show, which is in the regular season you get a chance to play the have-nots, and you only get the haves here. But there's more than that with the matchups. It's the uniqueness of Derek White is an elite defender. Brogdon is not even average.
Correct.
But maybe for some reason it's possible that he just bothers Jimmy more than Derek. And so you got to play into that some. So you'd rather do that up 1-0 than down 0-1.
Correct.
But Joe's got to do something to get Miami uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so this is a big point, right? Everyone who talked about this said the coaching edge in this series goes to Spo over Mazzulla, right? And that's fair. Joe's in his first year as a head coach. He's 30.
Spo gets that over everybody anyway.
Right. And
Spo is over everyone. Yeah,
he's incredible.
Spo versus Ditka. I'm going Spo.
I'm not Ditka.
Have you ever seen the?
Of course.
Yeah.
The Hurricane versus Ditka.
Right. Ditka.
And the Hurricane's name is Ditka.
Right. Oh, that's what it was. I forgot that. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Spo is as good as he gets.
No, he's fantastic.
I want to speak on something like that. Let me tell you something. So I know you. I don't know what it's like in swimming as a coach, but let me tell you a secret thrill about coaching in this sport. For me, anyway, the games where we're really up against it, they're better than us. Road, home, whatever. Whether it's a tournament, whether it's the playoffs, whether it's just a regular season game, and the other team is just rolling, and everyone knows you'll be lucky to win, but secretly you think, I think we can win this game, and then you look up to the scoreboard, and there's 6-7 minutes to go. There's some time left now, but it's a fight, and that feeling of I fucking knew it. It's such a great feeling. It's better sometimes than actually winning the game. I swear to you, I've been in this situation more than a few times, an old man, where you told your guys, like, guys, with 4 minutes to play, we're gonna be down 2 or up 6 or whatever. Believe. No one at your neighborhood and home thinks we have a chance, but I'm telling you, the game plan's gonna work. Trust yourselves, trust me, blah blah blah. And then you remind them, and this is high school kids, the look on their face like, I fucking told you, now let's finish these motherfuckers, that kind of thing. And you don't always win those games. Sometimes you lose them, but you're right there. So I thought of that because Spo, there was a video of Spo going to commercial, angry about something. I don't remember why. But 6-7 to play. It's a tight game. Mm-hmm. And I've been reading about the 97%, the odds were astronomical for Celtics to win the series. And not that I think he needed anything to motivate his team, but I'm sure in his mind, he was thinking, what are they looking at? I mean, even me, I thought they could win 4 or 5. I still think Boston's a much, much better team.
They are.
But you have to credit Miami for fuck all you motherfuckers. We're fine. Right. We got who we need.
You have to still play the game, right? The game isn't won on, look at the names. Yes, 2 All-NBA. Yes, if anybody just looked at who was on one, this should be a 4-0 win for Boston. They're just better.
If you're right,
play.
If you're Miami, you're supposed to say, and I know they got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We got a Hulk. We got a damn Hulk on our team.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's pretty good.
Jeez. He is just everything you want your best player to be on both ends.
No doubt. It was interesting. So Spo is the guy. So we talked about Mazzulla getting killed by a certain segment of the population because of the not calling the timeout, etc. And I thought his comments after the game, this is Mazzulla, was interesting. You have to, against this team, know exactly what's hurting you. And as good as they are at adjusting, they're just as good at winning games in the margins and the little things. So if we don't get back in transition, we don't value the basketball, we don't defend without fouling, and we don't rebound, adjustments aren't going to matter. And I thought that was interesting, right? Because that's sort of the thing, right? And we're so lucky at Troop because we have you who have such a deep basketball knowledge. Most people, when they watch basketball and they want to argue or get mad at their coach, he didn't make an adjustment, right? And maybe that's the case sometimes, but as you often say, sometimes you just got to just play better, right? And so I like Mazzulla's point there. They can make all the adjustments in the world, but if we're letting them run out in transition and do whatever, we're defending and fouling every time, I don't care what adjustment. We're going to lose anyway because we're not playing good basketball.
So to your point, I talked to a player yesterday who's I'm not going to say which team. He's on one of the 4 teams left. And I'm not even saying his team won or lost, but I would tell you that at one point during the game, his team just kept fouling. All 4 teams have had this problem. And we were going through adjustments from game 1, and he said, Coach never mentioned one word about fouling less. And I thought, that's an adjustment too. Stop fucking fouling. Yeah.
Is that Thorpe's rule number 1?
Yeah.
Don't fucking foul.
Yeah. I mean, it was late last night. Maybe he had just forgot, but I don't think so. Stop fouling. Like, that's an adjustment also. Use more fakes. That's an adjustment. We only think of adjustments. The average person only thinks of adjustments as in X and O adjustment.
Right.
It's just, there's so many different kinds of adjustments. And one of them is taking personal responsibility for not fouling. How about, here's an adjustment. Stop throwing the ball to the bad guys. That's a pretty good adjustment.
Very good.
Let's create better space. Let's cut with purpose. I spoke to a player yesterday who had a very good game in the combine. We'll get to the combine later. And so he called me last night back at the term. What can I do better? If I played today, which I don't think he should, but because he played great, I told him, cut with purpose better. You're just cutting. Hey, maybe you do. Like, no, purpose, right? Rebound with purpose. Don't just box your guy. Knock him to the ground. Have urgency. That's an adjustment too.
Yeah.
All those things matter. That's what Missoula's saying.
No doubt. And I love that there. And you mentioned a great point there. And that was part of Boston's problem, I thought, too, in that third quarter. Their spacing got really wonky. Everybody's all clustered together. And it's like, that again, no X's and O's there. Space better, right? Like, you know how to.
You should already know that. You hear Jarod say things like he really knows how to play, or he doesn't know how to play yet. Spacing's a big part of that. My son was lucky; he had a dad as a coach. You could watch him in 10th grade. I have video of feed the pinch post, immediately slide down because the young team was playing zone, and we put in a pinch post offense even against zone. Feed it, slide away into a sweet spot between where the defensive guard is and the defensive forward is. There's an open spot there. Our post kicks it to him, easy 3 right in front of my dad. I like listening to that video because I can hear my dad say, "Hey, good job, Max." I like hearing his voice. But that's just now most guys pass it, stand, or they just run right behind another defensive player. No, you got to move to an open spot. So these are NBA players, but there's a lot in their minds, Jarod. There's a lot in their minds. And so we're going to get to Denver in a minute. Aaron Gordon lost his mind. He literally, it was almost like he said to AD, "No, just stay there. I'm good. You just keep clogging things up for my teammates. I'm just going to stand and hang out, be a tree." Right? He knows better than that. He'll be better in game 2 for sure. But they do sometimes get kind of lost, paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so spacing gets to be really bad. Instead of, if you're standing 15 feet from your teammate and your defensive player can guard both you and help on the teammate, that's bad spacing.
It's bad on you.
You've got to get away. You've got to give them room. Yeah.
And I think a large part of it too, and we talk about, they're tired, right? And I think when you're tired, paralysis often happens, right?
Sure.
All right, I gave the ball up, did my job. Let me catch a breather.
Taking a mental timeout, yeah.
And that's what happens. Well, let's move to the other series. Denver up 1-0 on the Los Angeles Lakers. They were rocking and rolling in this game. It got a little hairy late. And all the talk we're going to hear about is, oh my God, Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic. What a great adjustment made by Darvin Ham. And I didn't talk to David yet about this, guys. This is happening live because I texted him in my group chat and he didn't. Here's what I imagine David Thorpe would say to me if I called him right after and said that. Jarod, if they think they found something by putting Rui Hachimura on Nikola Jokic, by all means, please do that every single time because this is Nikola Jokic. He will carve that up easily. This is nothing. Like, it's nothing. It's a thing that happened. They got close, still lost the game, whatever. But you cannot give a great player like Jokic a steady diet of anything because he'll just beat it. That's why he's the best player in the world. How close did I get?
100%. There's nothing Hachimura did. I just watched the game again. There's nothing Hachimura did. It was the fact that you'll see these a lot of times in I guess what was the movie? Avatar, first one, where the main character was like trying to back off some monster from the alien, not a monster, some animal. and the animal ran away, and he kind of puffed his chest. Yeah, look at me. Meanwhile, there was a way bigger animal behind him. That's what scared the guy off. Well, AD was behind Rui. It wasn't Hachimura on Jokic. It was the dude behind him that was causing the problems. So that's when we get to Aaron Gordon. First of all, Mike Malone said it. I don't like that Mike did this. This is where I have issues. He doesn't like the fact that people are acting as if, oh, the Lakers found something. Dude, just stay quiet.
Right? Yeah.
Who cares that they think that?
Let them think it. Yeah.
Right. The Lakers know. They're going to try it and work. They also know you're going to have a counter to it. But he took issue with the fact that people are suggesting that they've never seen this before. Of course they've seen it before.
Right.
They saw it against Minnesota.
Saw it against Golden State last year in the playoffs, letting Draymond play free safety.
Sure, right. But they put Gobert, this was just a few weeks ago, Gobert off of Jokic so he could help. Aaron Gordon just has to stop doing the impersonation of a redwood. Right? So to me, you can involve him in screens. Yes. You can put him at the top or on the wing. You can put him in the corner. When AD looks away, AD can guard Aaron Gordon better when he's in the dunk spot, both helping on Jokic or a driver and then recovering back to Gordon, who then has a vertical jump compared to Gordon flying in with momentum.
Right.
That guy's dunking on AD. Mm-hmm. The vertical Gordon may not. Depends on how close he is, Davis is to Gordon. But the flying one, AD's getting dunked on every time, pretty much, and fouling. Mm-hmm. So they'll mix it up for sure. It's funny. We're going to talk about D'Lo, okay? Yep. And minus 20, whatever, 23, 25.
Yeah,
bad. But in the third quarter, when Denver couldn't miss, he scored like 6 points.
He did.
He gave LA, they hung in, which is really what, again, this Thorpe's rule about not getting blown out. Hang in there. They were down. They were,
they got to 3 a couple times.
Right, but they were down 12
yeah.
for a long period of stretch, and they just kind of stayed with it. There was something that happened in this game, and I wrote it down. I remember watching it live. I looked it up today to make sure I was right. It's not anything big, but when I'm watching a game sometimes and a team does everything right and then doesn't finish well, and it doesn't necessarily scoring, but just in general, if it's a tight game or if it's a game that's not tight but I think can be tight, I think to myself, the famous line Ben Kingsley delivered, I'm such a stupid guy with movies, in Searching for Bobby Fischer. You ever see that movie?
Mm-hmm.
You have? It's a great book too, by the way.
Excellent.
Yeah. Travis, our editor, played chess against like the kid's, Josh Waitskin's best friend.
Wow.
He's played chess with him. Yeah. Ben Kingsley's a chess master, and he's watching this big chess match, and one of the boys just makes a mistake. And Ben Kingsley said that was a mistake. And then that's when the whole line, don't move till you see it, which I just love. Mm-hmm. Aaron Gordon gets to the free throw lineup, 106-92. This game can be a blowout still. It's a fourth quarter, whatever, 8 to play, and write down how much time was left. There's a lot of time left, but I mean, the Lakers were lucky to get it to 11, 13. Mm-hmm. It's 14. Gordon gets fouled. He can make it 108-92. A stop and a 3, and it's 19 again with 6 to play or whatever. It's over. Mm-hmm. He missed both free throws. Mm-hmm. He went 2, and by the way, they come down. LeBron gets an and one, makes a free throw. Now it's 106-95. So now you're a possession away from single digit. Yep. All of this stuff adds up. Yeah. You got it. You win, and so that's why I say D'Lo's buckets were important, because Denver might have been up 25 if D'Lo doesn't do what he's doing. It's a bad match for him defensively. They picked on Jamal Murray a lot, and D'Lo included, but LeBron did. I think I thought this series goes 7. Yeah. Nothing happened in game 1 to make me think it's not a 6 or 7 game series. Had the Lakers won, I would have favored them to win the series. They didn't win. I don't favor them to win the series, but it's a very close series.
Yeah. All the points you're making right there point to the fact that the margins are so thin, right? Again, to your point, Aaron makes those 2 free throws. You hit a 3. You're up. The game is essentially over. You miss 2. It always happens when you watch games closely. You miss 2, inevitably the other team comes on the other end and gets a bucket, and it's like, oh man! And psychologically, you know that as a player, you're like,
it's a 4-point swing, 5-point swing. Yeah, this was a 5-point swing,
and you just know it. And so it is so critical that you said to do. It's like, you're in math and you're doing calculus or whatever, and all the work is right, but the fucking answer's wrong. Like, You got to show your work. I did all the work, and it's right.
They did
How's
everything
the
right,
answer wrong?
and they didn't cash in the 2 free throws. Yeah, and he went 2 of 6 down the stretch. He missed. He went 2 of 4. The next 4 free throws, 2 of 6 total. So if he makes those, again, we can do the if thing all you want. But still, you're never in a 3-point game, 1 possession game. Right. Now, I think the Lakers are also feeling confident because Jokic hit a prayer to end the third, and then Murray hit a prayer early in the fourth. Mm-hmm. Prayers, 10% makes. Right. 10% makes. And so now when LeBron shoots his 3 to tie the game, if those guys, if one of them don't make it, you're shooting a 3 to take a 3-point lead.
Yeah.
That stuff matters. So the Lakers' biggest lead you want to guess what they had a lead in the game. You want to guess what the biggest one was?
Was that in the first? No, I thought they got away from them in the first quarter. 10-8 maybe?
Yeah, 2.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
2. That's the biggest lead they had.
Yeah,
this was a Nuggets. Yeah. This was a Nuggets game from start to finish, pretty much, and it could be in game 2. The Lakers really, to me, it's a must-win game for LA because to beat that team 4 or 5 is not something you'd expect.
Hard. It's gonna be especially
because the offense is too good,
and you got to win in Denver, which by the way they're undefeated at home. If I'm not mistaken, they've been lost.
You're right. You got to be. I don't know they'll ever solve Denver's offense. I don't think they've solved it with Hachimura, who by the way was also terrific. Yeah. As a scorer. Yeah, he was. He and D'Lo and Reeves, those guys, like I've been saying, they're fucking loaded. This is a loaded team.
And we'll get to that. Not Rui, because Rui was a lottery pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And so was D'Lo.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves. I mean,
yeah.
We'll get to that when we talk about the scouting combine and Wemby later. You mentioned D'Lo.
Oh, good.
Look, D'Lo, yes, that third quarter was very big in terms of his scoring. It's clear what the Nuggets are doing, though. Let's get him into every action defensively and go at him and get up under him as much as we can, just to bother him, because what that means is a sign of respect. Like, no, he's a very good player, and we have to figure out a way to get him off his rhythm.
They're talking about it, yeah.
Yeah,
they're talking about it.
So look, I mean, kudos to D'Lo, by the way. It's like, I feel like he's often crapped on by people, but I'm like, no, this guy's really, really good.
It's a really good point you're making. I don't care about the plus minus typically. I really don't for one game. It doesn't mean he played badly. I'm not saying he played well. Right. It just means he couldn't create a scenario where his team would play better. Right. I've seen plenty of. I mean, LeBron James has had some of those too and played well. He's not going to be as important because defensively they need more because Denver's got so many weapons because Jokic weaponized everybody. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have to outscore Denver.
Oh, for sure.
And he was a big part of that kept us alive, which I think is giving them some swagger going into game 2.
How did you think MPJ played? I thought he played pretty good in game 1.
Yeah, I did too. Had a nice block shot.
Yes.
In the second half. That was always nice. Someone threw a parade somewhere for that.
Because early in his career, you snake by him like that, he's going to foul you from behind or just give up the layup. But he didn't quit on I'm like, you're fucking 6'10" and you probably got a 7-foot whatever wingspan. Use that shit.
He made a big corner 3 too.
Oh yeah,
big corner 3 late.
I never worry about him shooting. I'm like, he's very good at that part of his game.
Yeah.
But no, I thought he did pretty well. And I vote if he plays well, I like this.
Makes him a lot tougher. I think we have to mention this. LeBron is the greatest of all time, second greatest of all time. You could argue everyone on his team thinks he's 1 or 2 for sure. And so that's valuable. But the Nuggets really believe in Jokic also.
He's so evident.
He's an amazing leader. He passed up 2 layups, not dunks, layups, that I thought was a mistake. Same thing I had with Gordon's, my reaction when Gordon missed those free throws is every 2 points matters, man. Every 2 points matters. You got to get the points you can get it. You'll pass plenty anyway. I'd like to see him get a 50-point game. I'm telling you right now, he needs a 50-point game in this series.
Well, it's also why you enjoy him so much, right? Because he gets so much more joy out of getting his teammates involved rather than getting himself involved, right? That's why you think, and that feeling makes the other guys want to do all the little things, right? Yeah. This guy's gonna pass me the ball, so yeah, I'm gonna dive on the ground.
That's a really good point,
right? I don't play with a guy who's like, well, you're gonna shoot the ball 40 times. I ain't touching the ball for the rest of this game, So you're always going to be engaged, and that matters. That has value.
Yeah, he's really well liked on his team. Deservedly so. He's a great leader. and leads by example too, not with his voice, because he does lead with his voice. That dude came out, let's go, running. They ran the Lakers off the court by design with altitude and everything else. And that's going to have a cumulative effect, I think. A cumulative effect for recovery time.
Yes.
If the Nuggets win game 2 tonight. Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tonight.
Yep. Tonight's game 2.
They win game 2 tonight. And if LA does not have a very good fourth quarter, we can look at how fast they played in game 1 as a factor. Not necessarily a deciding factor, but a factor.
I think you're right. And it's also mathematically, right? When you go up 2-0, the other team has to now win 4 out of the next 5 games. Yeah. And that's, again, that'd be fine if you were playing Charlotte, Houston. You ain't playing Charlotte and Houston, right? Like,
no, you're already not the better team, or even if it's a neutral thing. Yeah, it's like heads needing 4 or 5 to move on against tails.
Right.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
It could happen, but
of course it could happen. The odds aren't great.
Exactly. All right, we'll be back after a quick break. Okay, David. A big night in the NBA. We now know who will have the number 1 seed, or number 1 pick, I should say, in the NBA draft coming up in June. San Antonio Spurs. And by all accounts, they will likely take the French phenom, Victor Wembanyama.
They're taking it, Victor.
And as you know,
no, hold on. Let's really reinforce this. There is no discussion.
Yes. Obviously.
He's going to be worth a fortune.
No doubt.
This guy is the face of European basketball more so than Luka.
Wow, I love that.
He's going to be an enormous superstar. Enormous.
I love it.
I mean, like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, IBM, Apple. Like you're going to see him everywhere at some point. Yeah. Spurs are taking him.
What I like, and you know this, I was like, oh God, please don't let him go to Charlotte or Houston. Because I'm like, Detroit, I don't trust these teams. Like, I'm sorry. Like, they have not shown me a track record of player development, knowing what the fuck they're doing. Like, I don't want them in those places.
I didn't watch the lottery, but I would have been rooting for the same thing.
Oh, so he was in Paris when it was happening.
He was rooting for it too.
And you can see as the teams got picked off, he was like, because
really?
I don't want, when Houston got off the board, thank God. You don't want to go to fucking Houston. Like, look, sorry, Houston Rockets fans. Like, listen, your franchise has got problems. Okay, San Antonio, the continuity and consistency at the top,
and Tony Parker, who I think he played for his team.
Oh, we're gonna get to all the French connections in a minute, but you've got an ownership group, a front office group, and a head coaching group that have continuity. They've been together since freaking, I don't know, the freaking 1920s, seems like.
1994, RC was an assistant coach for the Florida Gators because I went there a lot that year. He was he mentored me a ton. I think the next year he went to the Spurs.
So this is 95.
I think so.
This is a long-standing partnership, marriage. Of course, they have the championship DNA with all the titles. They also know what it's like to draft number 1 picks. Hello, David Robinson. Hello, Tim Duncan. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Turn both of them into first ballot Hall of Famers.
And turn, hopefully, Victor also into a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, we're going to get to the international part. Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker.
Boris Diaw.
Tim Duncan's from the Virgin Islands, by the way. He's not American. So all these different little things, I'm like, yes, they know what they're going to do. And it's San Antonio. So not that I think, look, I don't know Victor, but he's not in LA or New York where it's constant besiegement of this, that, and the third. You got to fly down to San Antonio, which most people aren't going to do this.
It's going to be a blast. Yeah.
So he's going to be able to, let's focus. And I don't think, and I don't know this for sure, that Pop's going to be like on day one, here you go, Victor. Here are the keys to the franchise. Do your thing. You're the man now. Like, that's not how it's going to happen. Like, it's just not. And I think that's exactly what they need. So I'm very, very happy that he's going to be in San Antonio.
Well, I'm wondering, and I've made some phone calls to people in the league. I talked to Henry about this yesterday. I think Pop's always kind of said he'll leave, the franchise in good hands. Mm-hmm. Well, I really like Devin Vassell. I really like Jeremy Sochan.
Keldon Johnson.
Keldon's he's okay to me. Okay. I like some of the other young guys, mm-hmm. and now you had Victor. I'm wondering. All right, that we had It's the most talented under 23 group we've ever had, ever, in terms of number of bodies. Does he move up into like management, coaching the coaches for a year? I wondered about that.
Maybe.
I wondered about that because I don't think he's going to stay long enough for this team to win a championship.
Yeah.
So why not let the coach that's going to coach him then, in theory, let him coach him now, or her. Yeah.
I like that.
I wonder about that.
So start the mentor process. No, I like that. Either way, I know the infrastructure is going to be there. Okay, here's the other piece. So we know historically, David, rookies are generally net negatives, right? It's very rare that almost always, right? Like we had some exceptions, right? Of course, Evan Mobley, his rookie year was not a net negative. But like for the most part, they're net negatives. Do we think he's going to be a net positive his rookie year?
I think probably he'll be a net positive in the standpoint of there'll be a positive when he's on the court, versus when he's off the court compared to each other. In other words, they still might get outscored, but compared to everyone else, he'll be doing better when he's on the court than when he's off, just for them because they're so young. Yeah,
yes, very.
I don't know if they're gonna bring in some older guys right away.
Well, let's
try to make the playoffs next year. That's a separate question.
I think because they're going to have, I think, $36 million in cap. They have cap room. Do they get a veteran partner for him in the pick and roll? Because we talked about he's too tall. We don't think he should be some Kevin Durant offensive initiator from the wing, right? Let him run him off screens. Not yet. Maybe eventually you can do that.
Yeah.
Run him off Duncan Robinson screens at first. Let him finish in the pick and roll. That kind of thing. So who do we get as a point guard so that he can play pick and roll with that person?
Right.
Fred VanVleet's going to be probably available this summer. And Fred's a pro. Get a pro type of person in there who knows about playing winning basketball. I'm not saying they're going to win 50 games, but you only got to be 42-40 to get into the play-in. So you win 43 games, maybe you're in the play-in. Because you always say, losing is also a culture, right? I don't want this team to be 10 wins and that's not good. But if they can get that play-in, because now that's a reference point for them, right? And you always say, this is why LeBron and all these guys are so great. They have a bajillion reference points in their brain.
Yep.
Let's get Victor reference points early, right? And what that looks like. So I hope that's the plan they're doing. Look, smarter people than me run the Spurs, so I'm sure they have a plan.
But I think you're saying it the right way. Is this a guy where I can talk about Victor more? Or should I save it for the combine talk?
We're gonna talk about the combine right now, so let's get into it. So right now, the NBA draft combine is going on. It's going to end today, so Tuesday to Thursday in Chicago.
The competition part, and then it's more medical, I think, after that.
Okay, so they do all how tall you are without shoes, all that shit.
No. More of real medical stuff, like physical.
Make sure you don't have
I think that's tomorrow. I think that's tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. So look, I have my feelings about combines and all this stuff in all sports. I think they are just optically they look stupid. There's so much data on these guys. Like, if you have a scouting department, how have you not watched 1,000 minutes of, or more than that, 1,000,000 minutes of Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller? Like, what do you need to see them in a drill running up and down the floor for? Like, and what does that show you? I don't know. But again, smarter basketball people than me.
No, don't say that because I don't think it's right. You can't be smart about basketball and put this garbage on. I'm just saying it's just a circus. It's stupid. The whole thing is, first of all, the production of it is a joke. So use this on Twitter, please, ESPN. It's hard enough to track a game for those that actually are watching it because we don't know what numbers they are. The names are not on the back of their jerseys. Maybe they are actually, but we can't see it. This is blue and white. We're not used to seeing these guys in these jerseys. The camera's far away, and it's not like we're getting a bunch of cool camera angles of these games, right? Which is fine. But they keep shrinking the screen so we can watch 5 guys talking about things that aren't even going on the court necessarily, right. Regarding the draft or whatever. Or they interview the coach for 10 minutes while he's trying to coach guys he doesn't know the first names of. Right. And they shrink. We have to look at his face talking. No. It doesn't make any sense to me. We just want to watch the game. So that's the production value, which ESPN has destroyed year after year. It gets me so angry. I would much rather see the same event happen with HBCU schools and with schools from the smaller Division I conferences or even some high-level Division II. Players that can matriculate into maybe a two-way contract, of which we're adding 30 of them this year. We have every team has 3 instead of 2, so we'll have potentially 90 guys in it. Most of these players played for big schools. We saw them a ton. The only ones that didn't see them a ton that are there, Jarod, are the head coaches.
Right.
And there is value to that, but they act every year as if ESPN does. And my friend, who I love, John Gavoni, he always acts like going to this thing, you can really raise your stock. And they always give examples. So, like, for example, last year, three dudes were drafted. I think 2 in the first, 1 in the second. Okay. But we don't know if it's because they went to the combine. Right. And also we do know, but here's what we do know, that 37 other dudes weren't drafted who played in the combine. That doesn't even include the G League combine, which is the one for even the lower ranked players in that.
Right.
I don't know why you would draft a player because he shot one a star drill.
Yeah.
There's no evidence that I've seen that one drill tells you anything about how well a player can shoot the ball in terms of consistently. I guess speed, agility, that matters some, but it doesn't really matter if they've never done it on the court. And so you should have seen these guys on the court, right? I really think we could do a much better job of figuring out who should be drafted, who should get 2 ways, and cast a wider net for the talent around the country or the world than we do. We're seeing players that played, like yesterday's best player, his kid name is a long name, but we call him Omax Prosper from Marquette. He was the best player in the 2 games yesterday. He was all over the place, great defender. Marquette won the Big East, and then they won the Big East tournament. They beat the national champs twice. Like, did you really learn anything? He can make threes. He can dunk the ball. He can make layups. What didn't you see? He's at Marquette. I don't understand it. Yeah. ACC players and Kansas players or whatever. Come on, guys.
You've seen them all in game situations, which, as someone who evaluates talent,
and practices they've seen.
That's what you want to look at, right? You want to see what that is.
Make it for the ones that aren't in the Power 5 schools.
Right. The guys you definitely haven't seen before because you ain't watching those conferences and those kids.
Right.
This brings up to a larger point, David, about the draft and, this idea of, well, it's a 3-player draft or a 1-player draft. And look, this idea of the star player and the franchise changer, I understand that matters and that's important. Of course, you're not going to win a championship without those guys. Duh.
Right.
But to me, there are still 14 other roster spots on your team. And if you're going to win, you have to figure out who's filling out the rest of those spots. Who are they? Because you're not gonna have a team full of number 1 draft picks. That's not happening.
Right.
And you have to know who is. Look, Austin Reeves and Bruce Brown are not only playing critical minutes, but starring in roles for teams in the NBA Conference Finals. You want to know where Austin Reeves was drafted? Oh, that's right, he wasn't. Bruce Brown drafted in the 2nd round. Like, so this idea that, oh, well, outside of Victor, Scoot, and Brandon, nobody else is worth anything in this draft. How do you know that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we know it's wrong. The players always come out and get developed. Jokic, Giannis, Kawhi, none of them were lottery picks. And obviously, Jokic was a 2nd-round pick. Think about what I just read to you. The little run that Miami went on down 7-1-59. Mm-hmm. Who scored in that run? Bam, 13th pick in the draft. By the way, didn't play in the combine. Mm-hmm. Strus hit a 3 and got a putback. Undrafted player, right? Kevin Love picked up out of the trash heap because he couldn't play for Cleveland. Gabe Vincent, undrafted, I believe, and old.
Caleb Martin.
And they were huge. Caleb Martin, I think he was a 2nd-round pick. He probably played. I'm not sure there's 2 Martins, and they're twins. I don't remember which one was the drafted and which one wasn't. I don't remember which one Miami has. Yeah.
Miami's Caleb. Caleb Martin.
Yeah.
It's Caleb and Kwanzaa, if I'm not mistaken, yeah?
No. It wasn't Kwanzaa. No.
I don't know. Caleb Martin, he was not drafted.
He was undrafted to Charlotte. Charlotte picked him up because they drafted his brother.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. Your point is right. Like, we're trying to acquire talent here. Period. End of story. I want to get talent. I like him young and athletic and teach him the game. And, to me, if you're drafting the first round, it'd be great if you can get a franchise player. Most guys can't. I'm going to try to make one. And if I can't make a franchise player like Jokic is, I'm going to make a starter out of him or a long-term player. Yeah.
I want to be clear about what you said. You're like I'm young and athletic, but like that is not, you're not boxing someone in, right? Because Cam Johnson, by everyone's draft, oh, he's too old. He's already 24 by the time you draft him. Like, not super athletic. This guy can shoot threes and play defense. So
no, he's a game changer. Yeah,
right. I mean, so this idea of like you got to get these 18 and 19-year-olds who like are super raw and like, I understand why, because you're looking at what the ceiling could be. Sure, but you also have to develop that. How many teams are really good at doing that? Not many.
Yeah.
Not many.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah, it's like the world is rich on basketball talent. You gotta you have to go find it, man. And as David always says, and coach it up. That is the game.
You gotta coach it,
and that's your job. Gotta
find it and coach it. Find it and coach it.
All right. Last thing before we go, the Warriors had their exit interviews. And surprise, surprise, Steve Kerr admitted that the Draymond Green punch, caused some problems in the locker.
It was a surprise that he mentioned it.
Well,
don't you think?
No, I mean, only he was asked about it a bunch, and he was like, "Look, there was some trust erosion there, which we talked about, right? Like, and you and I said it when this happened. I was like, I don't know how it's going to impact them, but I feel like it's going to, right? And it did, right? Because the voice and the respect he was able to command was not there, like it normally was. And Draymond's admitted, and he's come out and said, "No, this was me. I messed up with that, and that cost us problems this year." All right, so that's one piece of it. It looks like, according to Shams Charania, that Myers and the Warriors are very far apart on any kind of contract extension talk, and that's important, right? Because Myers is the voice that communicates to this group, and they love Bob, players and Steve alike. If he's not there, that means somebody else is communicating this message. Well, they don't have a relationship with whoever this new person is going to be yet. Even if it's internal, it ain't the same as it is with Bob, right? So that's going to be some level of adjustment if, in fact, Bob Myers is not here.
Right.
I don't know. He could still be here. Things can happen. And then Steve said about Klay Thompson. Klay's got to come back at the beginning of training camp in the best shape he's ever been and ready from day one of training camp. And Kirk kind of talked around the idea of coming off the injuries and these different things. The stuff you did at 27 and 28, you can't do anymore now at this age coming off those injuries. That's about as much of a call out as Steve Kerr's going to do, right? Like, he's not going to.
Well, he doesn't want to be at 7 seed.
Correct.
Yeah, he wants to win early. Yeah.
And he said that the Klay not being ready early, that was a big reason for them coming out the gates and being slow. And
And Klay was injured last summer.
No doubt.
Yeah, but Kerr knows what he's doing. Like, we want to start on 18 and whatever,
like
1-2,
and you won the title.
Correct. That's what he's saying.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, Steph's still very good. They want Draymond back. Everybody's saying all the right things, but it's May.
Got to pay him though.
Joe Lacob. If one thing billionaires are, they get fickle about certain things. When they decide, fuck it, we're not doing it. That's it. Fuck it, they're not doing it. Right? The buck stops with them. He's the boss. He said numerous times, "I'm not paying $400 million in salary and luxury tax. Ain't happening." So we shall see. Something to watch here as we go forward. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the conference finals. God, by Monday, we'll have 3 games at least done, I think. Yeah, we'll be 3 games in for most teams, so we'll know 2-1, wherever, 3-0. I don't think anybody will be up 3-0. Well, no shit. Anything can happen. Who knows? This is fucking basketball. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.